Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
War is very easy. Peace is hard. I'll talk about that tonight as it relates to a lot of things going on this week, domestically and internationally. And some weird stuff related to that too. Hinkle wants to invade Canada. We have a 1 million person march starting tomorrow. In the morning. Boy, that looks volatile, doesn't it? Wow. Canada's leading unions aligning to oppose it. This 1 million person march to support parents' rights and protest gender ideology, indoctrination, education in our school systems. Looks pretty volatile. And there's more to it than just that. Canadian Taxpayers Federation launching a new campaign to oppose Trudeau's proposed grocery tax. We'll talk about that too. And you know, Donald Trump just sucks all the air, all the oxygen, not only out of a room, but out of a whole country. Just an observation, which I will elaborate on later in the broadcast. Pastor Arthur Pawlowski is a free man tonight, released from prison after being sentenced. We'll show you what happened. And what else do I have? Well, there's some sidebar stories related to all of that, but those are the main little nuggets that I've mined for us tonight, so we can buckle up, hang on. The ride is about to begin right here on the Maverick News Channel. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, let the fun begin. Pastor Arthur Pawlowski is going to be walking out of jail. A free man tonight. He was in court for sentencing. I need to find my notes on this. I thought I had it queued up. Close that. So basically, he was in court, and I can't find my notes. But I know he was in court, and he was up for sentencing, and he was given a 60-day sentence, but because he had been in jail already, he basically was awarded time credit for time served, and he's able to walk out. So this all stems from his mischief charges and breaching a release order for his role in the Freedom Convoy activities at the Coutts border and a speech that he made there. Let me just see if I hear some notes here. Okay. So he was involved in that. He went down there to the border to speak, and I'm sure that most of you have seen video of him speaking at the border at that time. And the government, of course, didn't like that. And he was found guilty of one count each of mischief and breaching a release order for his role in protests against COVID-19 public health measures. He was sentenced to 60 days, but of course his 60 days, as I say, was time served. So he has no time left to serve. Now, during sentencing, his attorney said that Pastor Art has accepted his responsibility in his actions at the blockade. The Crown says Pawlowski has a high risk to reoffend. Well, he's pretty passionate about his politics. So I guess in that regard, in that respect, he's, probably a pretty high risk of reoffending. You're going to have a hard time keeping him down. But he came out of court today and addressed the crowd. Here's, let me get you his speech. We have some video of Pastor Art. Here we go. This was what he had to say when he came out of the courthouse after being sentenced today. And you can decide for yourself if he's at a high risk of reoffending. I'd say that's probably reasonably accurate. I don't think he's going to give up, is the point.
To apologize for the crooked Crown prosecutors, the liars, the manipulators, the political traitors within our beloved Canada. They should live every day in shame for what they're doing to us free Canadians. I hate politics, but I have seen that we have no choice in our beloved Canada but to fight this politically. Please, Alberta, I am giving you an opportunity to have your own political party, Solidarity Movement of Alberta.
That's his own party, of course, that he started.
We are growing every day as a political force in this province. We're not going to stop. If we have learned anything about Arthur Pawlowski and his family, we are not quitters. We do not bow to incentives. We are not for sale. We don't take bribes. We love you, and we love your children, and we want Canada to be the Canada we all came to enjoy. Free and strong. Freedom! Freedom! They took my family through the ringer. That's true. Being in prison is no fun when you're Arthur Pawlowski. Metal cages, solitary confinement. Every day nurses and guards would come to me with narcotics. Take it. Take it. Fentanyl. Cocaine. Take it. They wanted to break us. But we are unbroken. We are stronger than ever. We started doing town halls. 250 people in Red Deer, packed housing, cameras, and I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. Yes. People are sick and tired of corrupted, flip-flopping political pancakes giving people diarrhea. They are sick and tired of politicians that tell you one thing in your face and do opposite the next day, giving you promises before election and doing the very opposite they promised. Like the UCP government, the corrupted governments. We're going to do it different. We will keep our politicians accountable. There will be no party whip. We will reform justice system, that the judges and the crowns will not be above the law. We are going to reform educational system. We are going to start teaching children, not indoctrinating them. And we are going to carve that beast called AHS. We are going to carve that beast that is sucking the very life of us. $20 billion is being stolen from Albertans for the beast. It doesn't care if you live or die. The latest victim of that beast, Sheila Louise, my heart got broken that this woman was murdered by this government. And for what and why? She's a hero. She is a hero. But I'm telling you, there are many heroes out there. I want to talk to those heroes. Come. Support us. One man cannot do it. One little church cannot do it. One group of people cannot do it. I'm calling all Albertans to come. Join the solidarity movement of Alberta. Bob, come. Yes. Yeah. One of Canadian heroes. This is the man that stood with us through all of it, exposing the corruption. That's what you need. You need brave Canadians, not playing politics, but serving the communities. I have been doing this for 24 years, serving my community. How many politicians you know that go week after week for 24 years, saving lives, feeding without charging a penny from the taxpayers? My record speaks volumes. Their record speaks treachery. We're going to build this together. We're going to bring reform to the policing. We are actually going to bring Alberta Police Force. Those political operatives were telling you they're going to do that. We will actually do it. They were lying to you, tell you what they're going to do, but they never deliver because they're part of the same system. Stop the revolving door. Stop the insanity of doing the same thing over and over again. Stop voting those beasts, those monsters back into the bases of power. You, the people of Alberta, you should have the power to keep them accountable, not the other way around. This is truly our solidarity movement. Like I said before, I was expecting not to come out. I was told by the fixers that called me and for months were trying to scare me to my death. You're going to prison.
Oh, what happened? We lost our feed. Yes, we did, but that's okay. That's Pastor Art, his speech after being released from prison. Sorry, folks, and we were just on a roll there. That's okay. Now, I'm just queuing up something else for you here. All right, let me take a quick break. I've got something else for you, but I need a moment to get it ready for you. So stay with me. This is important. So hang with me. I'll be right back.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so Pastor Art mentioned the word indoctrination and children, and of course that's really one of the main concerns for people showing up tomorrow for this million-person march. One of the marches, because they are happening across Canada in cities and towns. How many? I'm not exactly sure. I've heard anywhere from 22 to 100 different marches across Canada. And that is, if even 22 is for Canada, significant. That's big. If it's 100, I'd say that's unprecedented in terms of size and numbers. Now, I think the main ones happening are in Toronto and Ottawa. But as we reported yesterday, other media, kind of catching up on this today. Unions, Canada's top unions, including Canadian Labour Congress, Ontario Federation of Labour, others, have aligned to oppose this. They have this rapid response system or plan, and they had a big Zoom meeting that was supposed to be super secret, and it got leaked because somebody in that Zoom meeting, or some people, did not like what they were hearing, and they leaked a copy, a recording of this, put it online, sent it to a journalist, and it has been making the round. It's out there now. It's very, very, very public. And what they're talking about is basically getting ready to go head to head with the people showing up for this million-person march. Basically, what you're looking at here is the freedom movement on one side, opposed to Soji 123, opposed to the kind of gender ideology education that is being injected into the education systems across Canada. And then on the other side, you have these left-wing, neoliberal, woke, cultural Marxist union leaders. I would even go so far as to say, many of them are communists That's who they are. I'm very familiar with the way unions in the country work. And right now they are acting like an arm's length organization of government. They're using union dues for political activism, which is not unheard of at all within the union movements, Canada and the United States, frankly. I think they are out of their lane. That's my opinion. They should be minding their business, which is really about representing workers in the workplace, negotiating better contracts to get better working conditions and better wages. That's what they're paid to do. But no, they're really going to tomorrow become an enforcement arm of Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, NDP Liberal coalition government in this country, because they are ready to push back hard in the streets en masse against the parents and the protesters who show up tomorrow for this 1 million person march. Calling the people showing up fascists, that's the way they view them. What my opinion is on any of this stuff, I'm offering some opinion here, but you can weigh the situation for yourself and make your own determinations. Essentially, what we've got coming down here tomorrow is a pretty volatile situation. And I know that this 1 million person march was being promoted as being peaceful. But, a lot of people are very emotional. And there has been talk also of this Save the Children convoy, which is supposed to maybe roll in before or after or around the same time. Not exactly sure where it's all going, but there is that added element to everything going on. We know that there was some sort of an agreement made where there is supposed to be no interference, as was the word being used, between the 1 million person march and the convoy people. But now what is happening is these union people are forcing the issue. They're going to get up in the face, I think, tomorrow of the 1 million person marchers, because their plan, according to what we've heard in this video, this leaked video, is they're telling people to show up early to claim the space before the 1 million person marchers get there, so that the space becomes theirs. They're essentially trying to cancel through a cancel culture tactic the 1 million person march in as many cities as they can. And given the current situation out there, I would say that this is, extremely dangerous. It's volatile. We've seen many, many heated exchanges already on the streets over the last number of months over this very issue. And tomorrow, I'm afraid that things may escalate, because these guys, these union people, are telling their members and others who may show up tomorrow to wear masks so that their identities will be concealed. What does that sound like to you? I'll tell you what it sounds like to me. It sounds like Antifa. And that's not surprising, given that they keep calling the 1 million person marchers fascists. So in their minds, they're battling fascism. Why would that be? Where do they get such ideas? Again, I will let you draw your own conclusions on that. I know that, as I said, these people here represent basically far left socialists. They are, in some cases, outright communists. They're cultural Marxists, various flavors of politics on that end of the political spectrum. Let's listen to a little bit of what was said in this meeting, and it'll give, if you missed this yesterday, I think it's going to surprise you. And if you heard it yesterday, I think it's still going to shock you because it's hard to believe that union leaders are taking the lead on this. When I say they're actually out of vein, and from what there's an estimate here that there could have been more than 100 people in this meeting. So what they're planning is massive because these are just the leaders. So they have over 100 people in this meeting because it was 6 pages long, the number of guests. And if they're planning on having counter protests in 100 communities, I don't know where that leaves the million-person martyrs. But in any event, let's listen.
Ability of our people and our kids getting attacked. And I'll drop a link to that in the chat here.
Thank you, Martin. Great. We're going to have that Excel sheet, that dynamic, Google sheet that I was referring to, where we're capturing all of this data. The link to that will be put into the chat here by my colleague Yolanda. So thank you for that information, Emily.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So my name is Emily. I'm a VP at QP 4600 here in Ottawa at Carleton University, and I'm also a steering committee member of Community Solidarity Ottawa, which has been organizing in Ottawa since the convoy. I would just like to address a couple of points that I heard. First, I'll go with the previous speaker. I was the parent who led the organizing efforts of June 9th on Broadview Avenue in Ottawa when Save Canada, Josh Alexander, and Billboard Chris came. And I have a lot of great information to share and spread about what they did, how they organized, how we countered. Our numbers were in fact a lot bigger than just a couple hundred. I think we had probably closer to 300 or 400, whereas fascists were indeed violent. And I really would like to start sharing that information. I will also drop in a chat about an article the Canadian Anti-Hate Network published that details our stories. In terms of Ottawa, we have just planned a counter protest starting at 9 a.m. on the Supreme Court of Canada lawn. We chose this location because it's just adjacent where they were building, and we are not in the business of defending the state from fascists. We are in the business of protecting communities and each other to ensure that the hate does not go unopposed in the streets. I encourage you to share that. I'll again drop that in the chat for everyone. And I also just want to speak to something that Vicky brought up, just about how we're opposing this and what we're up against. And I think as much as it's important to understand the fact that we are dealing with a very fractured and difficult to track movement, that they've actually gotten quite a lot better organizing themselves despite all of these internal infights. One of the reasons why we're having difficulty finding lots of accurate information on march routes, on who's exactly organizing, is not because they're disorganized, it's because they've gotten better at operational security. They're doing a lot more things that's tighter and harder to infiltrate and harder to track. So I just think it's important to kind of keep that context, that they are able to, at this moment, rise above their internal discord to build a very, very big movement. I also think that I would like to bring attention to the fact that, like, this is absolutely crucial that we oppose this in the streets. And this is just to kind of build off of other points that other wonderful labor leaders here have talked about, is that we all know that our workplace issues don't stop when we finish work for the day. And we know that society doesn't stop when we walk into work in the morning. And we have to approach this in that, we have to keep that in our minds when we are out there. The fascists are organizing in the streets. I'm a researcher at Carleton, and my focus is fascism in Canada, and the signs that I've seen that we're rising, that this is far more just like a far-right transphobic protest. They are fundamentally racist, they're fundamentally anti-union, they are fundamentally queer and transphobic, and it's just a matter of time before they come to us. And the only way, the best way that the fascists have been stopped in the last 100 years has been when we unite in massive numbers in the streets. So this requires us to pivot and start to think about how we can use our inherent strength in a way that we're not used to using. Where we have to remember that our strength isn't just at the bargaining table. It isn't just when we're on the picket line. It isn't just when we're trying to get some better benefit for our workers. It's about flexing that with communities. As a member of Community Solidarity Ottawa, I do just want to plug, sorry, I'm talking super rapid fast. I just don't want to take up everyone's time here, but I do want to mention that as Community Solidarity Ottawa, we were formed in the convoy with lots of affiliates of Labour. And since then, we've seen a massive demobilization post-convoy. This is due to the natural siloing that happens amongst us. We get busy with bargaining, get busy with other issues. It's a volunteer organization. But in that time of demobilization, they got better. The fascists got way better at organizing. So what we need to do is really encourage everyone to reach out to their local organizations with not just statements of solidarity, but actual tangible material things of people coming out, administrative help to help launch websites, help people build those internal structures so that we can build a movement rather than just putting out fires. Because that's what they're doing. So we need to start catching up a little bit. And we know that we're better than them. We also don't have to worry too much about putting our members and our comrades in unsafe situations, because when we get numbers, we're going to keep each other safe. And we're really good at listening. And that's something that the others didn't have. And we saw that on the streets on Broadview in June, that they had difficulty kind of remobilizing and being fluid. And so we need to remember that we have the natural solidarity in our hearts, that we can trust and listen to each other and move quickly. So building that trust and testing that trust in the streets is going to be really great and very excellent skill building. So I really strongly encourage everyone to kind of think about how we can really kind of think specifically, get to work. I know we always have these meetings all the time, but now we've got to just hit the ground running, start flooding resources. Can we loan staff in kind to existing organizations in Toronto or Ottawa or other cities where they exist? Can we loan office resources? Can we do printing? All of this stuff is going to be huge. QP 4600 as well just passed the CLC motion with a $2,000 yearly budget to it. And I strongly encourage everyone to consider doing something like that, because that encourages that things actually just get spent, money gets at the door, and we have a more, a stronger promise of support beyond a statement and beyond just a handful of the same activists all the time just showing up to these things. Okay, I'm going to drop all my links as well as my contact information in the chat. So I strongly encourage everyone and their dog to reach out to me. We can work together on this. We've got a lot of knowledge in this room, and I'm so stoked to see this many people on this call. So solidarity, everyone.
Here. Thank you very much, Emily. Before I go to Peter, which I'll go to next, I just want to advise.
Oh, she sounds excited. I detect an element of enjoyment, pleasure, not concern. It doesn't sound like fear. It sounds like an adrenaline rush. She's getting off on it. It's going to be really great to see all this skill building, she says. I don't like it. This is confrontational. This is poking somebody in the eye to get a reaction. Somebody said to me today, they're coming to rumble. And I'm seeing a lot of people concerned that it might escalate into something violent. Everybody's saying, oh, no, I have to keep it peaceful, but they're coming to rumble. I'm hearing it. And I understand the concern. Of course I am. And you know what? You put a counter protest out there just like this one. That's what they're hankering for. They're coming looking for a fight. That's what it looks like to me. I hope not, but that's what it looks like to me. Unions. What the hell are you doing there anyway? Get back to representing your workers. That's my view. Let people have their protest, say their piece, exercise their right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and move on. Now, if people want to have a counter protest, have a counter protest. Go over on the other street corner. Why do you have to go in and take over their space? Because you want to be confrontational. You want to cancel the other side. You believe in censorship. You don't want the other side to have a voice. So you're bringing noisemakers, as you always do, so that the other side can't be heard. You're going to show up before they do and claim the space before they can. Like a grade school petulant child throwing a temper tantrum. This is volatile. It's irresponsible. It's dangerous. But I guess if you think that I think that these people think they're justified in doing it because they think they're doing the right thing. And then on the other side, we're seeing concern, in some cases anger, frustration, a variety of emotions. And then today on Rebel News, I watched this. And, I really like Rebel News, and I really like Sheila. I like David. And they did their afternoon roundup today. And Sheila commented on this. I took note of the language she used. And, of course, she's ad-libbing. So, I don't put too much weight on this. But it was an expression of her emotions in exactly the way that I'm talking about right now. I just thought I'd play this clip just to show you what I'm talking about. Here we go.
We should get to, but calling parents hate mongers. There's one thing that made me happy. As much as I hate to see people paid by our tax dollars in charge of your kids for 7 hours a day, attacking parents as hate mongers and fascists. You know what was the one thing that warmed my heart in all of this? How scared they are. How scared they are. And they say it. After 40 years of their garbage going unopposed and unabated and completely supported by the mainstream media and the government, they've got opposition now. And so you know what? Let's rumble. Let's rumble. Finally, someone has stepped up and it's spreading in cities all across the country. And these people are fearful. They're scared. They know they're going to lose.
I love it. And what does she mean, Sheila, by this type of thing? This type of thing meaning a demonstration, a peaceful protest, much like how these teachers unions, at least in Ontario, every 2 or 3 years go out on strike. It's for the kids, right? It's for the kids.
I don't know. I don't think Sheila wants things to get, I'm sure she doesn't. But, those words send shivers down my spine. Oh, let's rumble. Let's rumble. Oh, my God. You guys, I think you got at this point a pretty good handle on where things are going this week, right? In this country, if any of this gets any traction, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning. I don't know. Maybe you get 50 people show up. Maybe you'll get 1 million. I don't know. But it sure sounds like there's a whole lot of friction in store tomorrow and more. And we're hearing that even from this meeting, these union people know that there's more planned after the 1 million person march tomorrow because we still have something going on with this convoy. They're also right about this. The security is very tight around this whole thing. So there's very little information leaking out. And yet it's all leaking out. I shouldn't laugh because it's so dangerous. And it concerns me. And the thing about something like this is, whatever this ends up being tomorrow, it could just be it could be protests that go off without a hitch, and they're peaceful, and everybody, waves their Bristol board signs, chant their chants, and then they all go home. Somehow, I don't think that's quite going to happen tomorrow. But whatever does happen, this could be this is, I hate to use the word war, but this is kind of a war, isn't it? Between these two factions within our country. And we've been seeing these clashes on a limited scale for months. As I said last night, often it looks like a circus sideshow to me, because sometimes the people show up in costumes and it's colorful and they act like spoiled, rotten little brats, and they get in each other's faces and they shout and they scream. And of course, nothing gets solved that way, but they sure do, give police a lot to deal with. And then the cops get called names and the protesters get up in the cops' faces. And by the way, if you want the cops to stand down and join your cause, you might consider speaking to them a little nicer. Okay. Anyway, the funny thing about wars is they all have something in common. At the beginning, before a war, or even in the early stages of a war, quite often there's a lot of public support. People are like, yeah, let's do this. People's emotions get amped up. Young men and now women get recruited, or they volunteer for service eagerly. And if you go back to wars like World War I, you didn't sign up to fight. You weren't a man. And you would be shamed for not volunteering for military service to go off to war and fight in the trenches. You look back, you look at them, even look in the movies. Look at Gone with the Wind. The war starts, right? Civil War. Gone with the Wind. Scarlett O'Hara's husband. The first one. Not Rhett Butler. The wimpy guy. Woohoo! It's like they're all excited because they're going off to war. They were excited. But I'll tell you, once the horrors of war are realized, the other thing that every war has in common is it, over time, becomes far less popular. That's when the casualties start to pile up. And in a real kinetic war, the body bags. And you want to go fight in the streets? Where do you think that leads? Just saying. They're fighting fascists. The other side says they're fighting Marxists, communists. Where have we heard that before? Now I had somebody call me today, ask me if I'm doing this or doing that. No, I said, no, I'm pretty much staying out of it. It's a news story, so we'll cover it as a story, and I'll comment. I'm pretty much staying out of it this time. Yep. This isn't my time. This isn't my thing. I'm not into this. People want to go fight in the streets. I've been watching it for months. Like, have at it. Okay? I'm not telling anybody what to do. I just know what these wars have in common. All wars start off very popular. People get all jacked up. Then the bad stuff happens, And people get a taste of reality. And then they want it to end, but then it's often too late, isn't it? Because then it's like it's all in motion. And then it takes a lot to get it to stop. Very strange times. People here in Canada, they don't know what to look for. It's never happened here before like this. You know, we've had wars here, but not for a very long time. I mean, you have to go back to the War of 1812. And every war, you know, that is within modern memory for people here, or they're wars that were fought on other continents. So we just don't understand. And I see everything going on. I see what's coming tomorrow and in the days after. Yeah, I'm worried. But people make their own choices, and I know how passionate people are about this, and both sides say they're not backing down, so I guess we'll just have to sit back here and see what happens. Hopefully it's peaceful, but this is not my way. Why is Rick talking about parents this way? What are you talking about? Lovely flight. What are you talking about? Is the protest not by parents? If you think that this is just parents, just parents, you don't think this is political? You don't think there's like politics at the heart of this? You think it's just the march tomorrow? No, there's other stuff going on all around this. Do what you want. I don't know. Like, I know that this march tomorrow, the organizers were hoping that it would sort of be separated from a lot of other things going on, political things, and they would be able to keep it very, very peaceful. I know that. But when you're kind of connected to these other things going on around it, and now you've got this big pushback coming from organized labor, which has sophisticated organizations. They have networks and a massive number of people that they can bring to bear on this. This is the this is some, you're not seeing the bigger picture. This issue tomorrow, the issue surrounding it, this is the catalyst. This is the hot button issue right now. Back during the Freedom Convoy, the year and a half ago, 2022, I'm losing track of my years. The issue is mandates. Not this, but this issue. This is the issue that the populist movement has embraced. It's being talked about by all the political parties because it's been an issue that's been pushed right into the faces of people by both the government and the people on the opposing side. And so now it's out in the streets. You're seeing people clashing, and now tomorrow it's coming to a head. And other stuff planned I know of because we've been hearing about it online, haven't you? Save the Children Convoy, which is absolutely related to the same issue, Save the Children Convoy. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm just, we all know that that's another component to this. And then we have this other protest up on Parliament Hill with First Nations protesting Bill C-53. I'm telling you that that's related to all of this as well. And if it's not, why are the people within these other organizations for the march tomorrow and the convoy thing, they're talking about the thing on Parliament Hill because it's separate but connected. It's all connected. Why is he talking about? I'm not talking. I'm just telling you what's going on. I'm just reporting the news. Okay. In our own style here in this new form journalism that we practice every night, I'm just telling you what's going on. You can decide to do whatever you want to do and assess it in your own way, but this is the truth. It's what's happening. And anything I'm sharing with you is no big secret. This is already out there. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not tomorrow. It's Wednesday. I do apologize, Lovely Flight. I've been up all night the last couple of nights. You're quite right, Lovely Flight. It's not tomorrow. Nix that. I'm so wrong. I lost a day because I had to travel today too, and I'm totally messed up. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. My apologies. Thank you, Lovely. Yes, Rick doesn't even know what day it is. Sheesh. Yes, that's true. Because as I say, I have not been sleeping. I haven't been sleeping. Yeah, thank you. I am a little bit confused. Thank you for setting me straight. And James says, good day to you, Rick. Axel in the house, USA, Alabama here. Hello. Yeah. Again, not tomorrow, Wednesday. Sorry, I wouldn't want to get people down there too early. Yeah. Anyway. And there's some other weird stuff going on. Is it related? I don't know. There's pretty weird stuff. Jackson Hinkle has repeated a call to invade Canada. This was sent to me. Okay. I don't really watch Jackson. I've seen his stuff. I don't pay a lot of attention to him, but this one kind of threw me for a loop in a way. Let me find the original clip here. Okay. Where'd you go, Jackson? Jackson. There it is right there. Okay. So he's on this show. If you don't know who Jackson Hinkle is, he's like this, he's a left wing. I'd say he's a communist. Sometimes posing as mistaken as a conservative, but I think he's actually a communist. Some people call him LaRouche conspiracy theorist. In any event, his views on many things are very left wing. And he calls for an invasion of Canada on this Manosphere podcast. So I'm going to play this for you. This is a mind bender, as the person who sent this to me has said. This is going to bend your mind. Yeah, it bent mine. Here we go.
I think we need to invade Canada and fully liberate it because it's still.
He's not joking.
That'd be pretty funny, actually. You laugh, but
No,
okay,
no,
do you want to send $200 billion to Ukraine, or do you want to send $200 billion so we can liberate Canada from Trudeau? It's a British Commonwealth.
Yeah, Trudeau. Yeah.
If we ever try to break through in the United States and become our own independent, country again, which, I think Trump is the closest thing we've ever had to that, and look what they're doing to him. They're probably going to try to kill him. But if we ever truly assert ourselves, nationalization of our commodities, public banks, get rid of the privatization of our most vital resources, the UK, France, Germany, they're going to come together. They're going to, convene in some conference and say, we have a crisis in America and we need to send our boats to, the Atlantic shore. They're going to come and try to land over here and start some sort of a war. I think that they'll probably try to do it like what they did in 1812, going through Canada and trying to wage a war on us through Canada, burn the White House when they did that. So I think if we take Canada, I think we eliminate one of the potential outcomes of them starting a war against us if we ever liberate ourselves.
What do you think has been?
The scary thing is, I have another perspective on this. I'm going to share something with you that very, very few people know. And maybe very few people, unless you're really down the Q rabbit hole. Oh my. I don't know who's telling him to say this, but I suspect he's taken a cue from someone at some point. You know, I like Jackson Hinkle. And maybe this is not, maybe he just really believes this should be done. I can tell you that Canada is a sovereign nation. And we can actually make our own decision without being encumbered by the crown, the monarchy, the king. We can. We can actually change our own constitution. And we don't have to get the approval of the king. We can do that now. Now, we do have royal assent and the governor general, and we are part of the Commonwealth. But as of 1982 and the patriation of this, the Constitution of Canada, we are our own country now. So it's not exactly what he's saying, but that resonates with a lot of people who are into common law, sovereign citizenry, freemen on the land, that kind of stuff. And these ideas that Canada's not really a country, that it's just a myth, that we're just a corporation. Here it is. You can believe it or not. I can feel it. It's right there. Feels pretty low. Yep. It's there. I read it. So here's what people don't know. Is there are people who believe that there are white hats coming and that Donald Trump is still the president of the United States. There are people who really believe this. You can believe it if you want. Maybe I'm sure some of you in the chat do believe it. I don't believe that, but they believe that there are white hats coming. They also believe that they're coming to help liberate Canada in their own way. So it's interesting to see that this messaging is repeated on, like, I think that was September 6th. This call to invade Canada. And he's not the first one to do it. It's just really kind of weird. You know, I could dismiss it if I had only heard it say originally from Tucker Carlson. And you may recall that that's exactly what he said. Am I joking? No. No, I'm not. Nope. Where's Tucker? Let me find Tucker. Did I lose Tucker? No, I have him here. I wanted the clean clip of him. Well, let's play this version of off the Young Turks. You'll get it. We'll get it. Okay, so here we go. Tucker Carlson said this. I think it was about 7 months ago. This is very, very odd, but it was very odd at the time. Starting to make a little more sense as time goes on. Come on, Tucker. Let's go.
Which we have the longest border. And actually, I could just say, why should we stand back and let our biggest trading partner, the country with which we share the longest border, and actually, I could just say, a great country. I love Canada. I've always loved Canada because it's natural beauty. Why should we let it become Cuba? Like, why we liberate it? We're spending all this money to liberate Ukraine from the Russians. Why are we not sending an armed force north to liberate Canada from Trudeau? And I mean it.
One of the regrettably most popular voices in cable news is advocating for invading Canada because of something having to do with vaccine protests or something. It's stupid. It's so stupid that we shouldn't be burdened by this sort of thing as a culture, as people, but we are.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Tucker says it. It sets off a firestorm. There's all kinds of reaction. We had people commenting on it 7 months ago. He said it on more than one occasion, I think, and he has a big megaphone. That guy, right? A big platform, big voice. I thought it was weird at the time, but and I was kind of cluing in a little bit on all this other stuff. But it certainly triggers certain groups of people who believe or hope even that the United States is going to come to our rescue up in Canada and help liberate us from the clutches of Justin Trudeau and the liberal regime. Right? And, it doesn't stop there. Doesn't stop there. We also have Lieutenant Steve Rogers advocating for exactly the same thing. He had that SOS letter campaign that was started a number of months ago, and I think he got 30,000, says anyway, that he got 30,000 letters from Canadians. And here it is here, and some from overseas as well, to express support for the SOS campaign to save Canada, or whatever that is. It's not so much to save Canada, but it was to get some sort of reaction or action from the US government. Anyway, this is an example of what Lieutenant Steve Rogers was able to solicit from people. Letters like this: SOS from Canada to the United States, support from Poland. And that picture right there actually went viral as well, because it was like, look, we're getting support from even from people in Poland. And the idea here was that people were to send these letters to Lieutenant Steve Rogers. He wanted Canadians to send letters asking for the United States to intervene and help in some way because of censorship and the policies of the liberal government, which Lieutenant Steve Rogers has characterized as being a national security threat to the United States. Those are pretty strong words. And there have been strong words back from the Canadian government too. This is all very odd. Never in all my years, not until after COVID, not until just recently, have we heard rhetoric like this from political activists, whatever you want to call some of these guys, influencers, streamers. It's very odd. I don't ever remember in all my years working as a journalist this kind of talk. It's certainly not about Canada being any kind of threat to the United States. I'm pretty old, so I still remember driving back and forth across the border showing nothing more than a driver's license, because we had what was all we always proudly pointed to the border, I think Americans and Canadians, and we said, look, we have the world's longest undefended border. It was a point of pride because we got along so well. And now this kind of talk? I know things are bad, but I don't see why we're a threat to the United States, given that we have Biden and Trudeau both in power, both kind of screwing the people over. Why would one want to invade the other? You've got your own set of problems down there, my friend. I kind of like Steve Rogers. I do. I like him. I've watched his stuff. But he's very, very active on the commentary when it comes to Canadian topics. Here he is talking about Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Melanie Joly, who also said something kind of stupid because the words were clumsy when she said that they were formulating a plan to deal with the possible rise of, or possible even election of a more right-wing or far-right government in the United States. Specifically, I think, without saying the words, she's worried that Trump might get reelected, and said that they were coming up with a game plan if that were to happen. And so Lieutenant Steve Rogers reacted with this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me this evening. Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly reportedly stated in an interview that Canada has been working on, and I quote, a game plan for the outcome of America's upcoming presidential election. She says Canada has been considering a game plan, those are her words, a game plan for how it would respond to the United States if the United States takes a far-right authoritarian shift after next year's presidential elections. Now, she apparently also told the reporter that, and I quote her again, we're certainly working on scenarios. Now, during the same interview, she declared, and I'm going to quote her again, not my words, her words. She declared that the other aspect of the question is more about knowing how we as a democracy, meaning Canada, are able to dwarf the growth of the far right in our country because it's happening in the United States of America and in Europe. Now, Joly has condemned political opposition at home and abroad before, such as when she appeared to blame American conservatives for interfering in Canadian politics by supporting truckers in the Freedom Convoy as they protested against vaccine mandates. Well, we did in the same way support the Chinese in Hong Kong against the Chinese Communist Party at Tiananmen Square in 1989. We did the same way as we supported the Polish Solidarity movement against the Soviet Union in the 1980s. And the same way that we did that for them, we're going to defend our country, the United States of America, against the Chinese Communist Party wherever they rear their evil head. Now, let me give you, Ms. Joly, a little bit of an education about America, and perhaps a few other things about people who love freedom and liberty. To begin with, your foolish attack on American conservatives is an attack on mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers who decided to attend Board of Education meetings to protect their children from communist ideologies and indoctrination that you and your government support. Your foolish attack on American conservatives is an attack on hardworking men and women who are fighting a winning battle to preserve their individual rights, freedoms, and liberties in this country. You wouldn't know that, would you? Because your country censors and filters incoming news, and you jail those who dare to question your government. That, to me, sounds like a game plan of the Chinese Communist Party. Your foolish attack on American conservatives is an attack on the very people who stand on a document that freed us from the enslavement of governments like the one you are enslaved to. That document is called the Constitution of the United States of America. And it happened to be created by conservatives as far back as 1776. And by the way, those conservatives back then, they were called radicals by the King of England. Conservatives like farmers, like pastors, hardworking people. Does that sound familiar to you? Your foolish attack on American conservatives is an attack on the people from all walks of life. Teachers, iron workers, police officers, firefighters, common carpenters, union members, executives, and the list goes on and on to include the 300 million plus citizens of my nation who will not be intimidated by the likes of you or your government. You say you want to protect the citizens of Canada from a conservative movement that is spreading worldwide, especially here in the United States of America. Well, I have news for you. That movement is for freedom, it's for liberty, and it's for individual rights. So you want to protect the citizens of your country from freedom, liberty, and the individual rights. That's out of your mouth, not mine. Americans are proud of everyone fighting for those rights. Conservatives in America are winning in this country, in our schools, in our local and state governments, and in the courts. And very soon, we're going to be winning in the United States Congress, the Senate, and the White House. So whatever your game plan is, you bring it on. You have proven to me, at least, I'm sure millions of people, not only throughout America, but around the world, that you and your government are what I have been saying for a year and a half. You and your government are a national security to the threat of my country. You are a national security threat to the United States of America, in my opinion. And I believe in the opinions of millions of others. And that is something, know this, that is something our leaders will have to address in due time. Throughout history, the United States has been that shining city on a hill, fighting against communism worldwide, as I said earlier, no matter where it rears its ugly head. So I would say this to you, Mrs. or Miss of Foreign Minister Affairs over there in Canada. By the end of the plan that you have, that great plan that you're so proud of, I would believe that you will be signing off of your plan with the famous lyrics of that famous song, "What Kind of Fool Am I?" I am proud to be an American. I am proud to be a conservative. And I'm proud of the Canadian people and others worldwide who stand for what? For freedom, for liberty, and individual rights. Miss Foreign Minister, know this. Freedom will always ring in the hearts, souls, and spirits of good people. And I say to you that as you're singing your song, "What Kind of Fool Am I?" we the people will be singing that wonderful song, "Let Freedom Ring." I'm Lieutenant Steve Rogers.
So who wants the United States to invade Canada? How does that bring freedom Canada? If we have military intervention so that a foreign government overthrows our government and then replaces it with what can only be a pro-American puppet government, which would not really be sovereign at all because it would be in place only through coercion, and its authority would only be coming from the end of a gun barrel pointed at the citizens by the American invaders. And then we'd have to, get back to democracy somehow, which we already kind of have, but then it wouldn't be, what the hell is he talking about? There are probably easier ways to deal with the problem than having Americans invade, but I can't help but think that all of this stuff being talked about and the timing on all of this stuff, And what's he talking about? Indoctrination of children at the hands of the Chinese communists in our school system. So he's basically blaming Soji 123 and gender ideology, politics, and education in our school system on the Chinese Communist Party. She is opposed to. And you don't think that that's related to what's going on in the streets I keep saying tomorrow, Wednesday? Of course it is. A lot of Canadians watch Lieutenant Steve Rogers, and I would say probably somewhere around 30%, maybe more, of his content is all about Canada and subjects just like this. So, of course, he has an influence up here. And I understand, and I get a lot of what he says, but when they start talking about invading Canada, and he has, and when he encourages Canadians to write letters, and I called this out immediately, the first day that this came to light, that he was starting this SOS letter writing campaign, and people were writing these letters. I'm sure they didn't even understand what they were doing. He identifies Canada as a national security risk. He brings this to the attention of political leaders in the United States. Then he has Canadians en masse, by the thousands, write letters to him, which he then presents to political leaders in the United States, where Canadians are writing SOS, save our souls. Please come and rescue us with an American invasion, which he then delivers and says, we read this on the air here a couple of nights ago. He said after getting these letters that he doesn't really want to intervene in the workings of a foreign government, but. And then you have these people who think that these white hats are coming from the United States, or that the U.S. military is going to intervene at some point and come and liberate us and save us because Trudeau is a tyrant and is guilty of treason. And I'll tell you right now, that's not happening. It's not going to happen. But a lot of people think it's going to happen. We'll see this week, I guess. Oh, my God. And it's not the first time he's talked like this. And it's not the first time Jackson Hinkle has spoken like this. Here's Jackson Hinkle on Digital Social Hour, a podcast with Sean Kelly. This goes back 2 months ago. Talking about this as well. Why do they keep talking about it? Like, to me, this should be like, okay, maybe somebody like Tucker said, and maybe he just said it in passing, and it's supposed to be a joke. But it's not just one guy, it's several major online and television influencers. Tucker and Hinkle, both on Fox, have been. And here's Hinkle talking about it on this other podcast. I don't know. It's whatever, man. Here we go.
Something I'm really passionate about, like our founding fathers in the United States believe that, you guys know what manifest destiny is, like westward expansion. All that stuff.
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it before.
When we had like colonies in the United States, or it wasn't the United States, we had British colonies. The Brits didn't want us to expand past like Eastern mountains into Western America and develop Western America and tap into all those vital resources, because they were fearful that those colonies would break off and form a country, a nation state. But the founding fathers all wanted not only extend all the way to California, they wanted to take it all the way to Mexico, invade Canada and liberate Canada and bring that into the United States. And I think that we should do it. I think that we should invade Canada. Why are we spending this money on Ukraine when we could literally have Canada? You know, we've spent $200 billion on Ukraine. For what? For what? Most of it's being siphoned off into like black markets and offshore accounts. And Zelensky's buying these mansions in Italy, Miami, Lake Como, wherever. What if we just took Canada? It's a nice country. They have a lot of oil. And just basically achieve the American dream.
So you want to send troops to Canada and totally take over?
Yeah, I think.
Do you think we have to fight Canada, or they probably just be like, you guys can have it?
Well, so long story short, that's what I was discussing with Kanye, because he liked the idea. He liked the idea of invading.
I never even thought about invading Canada, because we more so like cater to them, but they're like, our friend. We don't really mess with them.
Well, there's like two facts to it, because right now there's that Trudeau government in Canada.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so sad to see what's happening there. You know, censorship is bad in America, but in Canada,
it's terrible.
If you say the wrong thing, you could literally be fined or imprisoned.
Wow.
And I'm not making that up. It's very real. And in addition to that, you also have the age-old fight between Britain and the U.S. Britain financed Canada in the War of 1812 when they burned down the White House. So Canada has been used as a proxy by the British Empire against the U.S. for years. And it seems like we're friends with the Brits right now, but a lot of top American political elites are not. Like Trump hates Britain in the city of London. So I think that it would be, just to avoid any further wars in the future, we should just go in and take it.
Interesting. So Jackson, what is it that you're trying to gain? What's your motive? What's your MO in doing all this? Do you want to, be a name in history or leave a legacy, or do you want to be the guy that gets killed trying to save us?
But that's just the thing. If you try to be the one guy rather than craft a popular movement that actually responds to the needs of people, you will end up dead. You will 100%. You need to have.
And you're okay with that?
No, I don't want that. I don't want that. But that's the thing. It's like it's about educating people and trying to break through these social media walls, these censorship walls, to try and get the truth out.
Oh, Okay. Oh, well, let me. We're gonna cue that back just a touch because this shows his political ideology.
Through these social media walls and these censorship walls to get the truth out there.
Yeah.
You consider yourself a communist.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on China issuing social scores to everyone?
Medusa the Gorgon.
So he considers himself a communist. Isn't that interesting? Because Lieutenant Steve Rogers is conservative, and yet they both seem to want to do the same thing, kind of. At least, I don't think Lieutenant Steve Rogers has called for an outright invasion. He's kind of on the edge. Very confusing, isn't it? How can a conservative and a communist both be calling for actions to deal with what they see as a national security threat to the United States of America? One thing I'll tell you, one thing that does make some sense of it is Jackson Hinkle's reference to Canada having a lot of oil. Remember I mentioned that just a couple of nights ago? I said, if you really want to understand why some of the political turmoil happens in this country, just look at what's going on with oil. If you think that the companies that have investments in Western Canada don't get involved politically, think again. Right now, you have a liberal government that has gone to war against oil because they are climate activists. And they're pretty radical. They are extremists. Our government is run by extremists, especially environmental radicals. And these big oil companies are having trouble getting their oil to market and out of Alberta. And only 24%, or in that range, about a quarter of the natural resources out in Western Canada are controlled by Canadians. The rest, the oil, other resources, controlled by foreign companies, mostly American. Think about that. Let that sink in. Suddenly the picture gets a bit bigger. You get up in the air and you start to look at this from an aerial view, and then things start to maybe make a little bit more sense, and you can start to connect some dots a little bit easier. It's some theory, speculation, but a lot, it doesn't really make sense. A communist and a conservative saying very similar things. What's the result? Confusion, disruption, chaos, anarchy. People don't make any damn sense of anything. They don't know what they're supporting. I'm a conservative. I'm a communist. Actually, if you look at what the populist movements in Canada and the United States, if you look at what they're comprised of, they're made up of. In Canada, for instance, it started with a very conservative base, but it has expanded and they have pulled people in from the left, socialists, New Democrats, and even communists, and even people from, honestly, the far, far right. So you've got the whole spectrum in there, man. It is a real hodgepodge of diversity. That's the populist movement today. In Canada and in the United States, I'd say it's a very similar thing as well. That's been the way it's always been through history with any populist movement in either country. They galvanize around a particular issue, like what we're seeing on the streets tomorrow, where you're now seeing even a big faction of the Muslim community organizing, being one of the main organizing bodies and driving factors behind what's going to happen. I keep saying tomorrow. It's Wednesday. I'm so sorry. It's Wednesday, not tomorrow. You keep seeing, so now they're part of this populist movement as well. They've aligned themselves with it. That's a very interesting thing. Politically, I find that fascinating. We'll have to dig into that more and look at the politics behind all of that and over time, because nobody kind of saw that coming, did they? Especially the liberal governments. The Muslims aligning themselves with the freedom movement. How could that possibly be? But here we are with Christians and Muslims coming together. Which Christians? That's an interesting thing. I hadn't really thought about it until just now. Which Christians? I don't know. Anyway, I just look at that as a very interesting thing. How are they able to achieve that? It's an achievement for sure, because you're bringing people who are supposed to be sort of opposed diametrically together, unifying them. What an achievement. But there it is. And then the people on the other side, as Sheila said from Rebel News, the other side's afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what's coming in the streets tomorrow. I'm afraid of what's coming from people like like Jackson Hinkle and Lieutenant Steve Rogers and others down in the U.S. I'm afraid I'm going to wake up one morning and have the U.S. military marching down the streets saying, come on out. And I'm like, okay. I'm all about Canadian sovereignty. I tried to tell everybody before you wrote those letters, if you write a letter like that to him and then he presents it to political leaders in the United States, you're giving them justification to come here and invade the country. You're asking them to do that. Actually, if you really look at it, writing the letter fits the definition of an act of treason. It is true. Because you're asking for someone to come here and, oh my God, the politics is so weird right now. You're a fascist, you're a communist. Wait a minute. No, you're both together. Those two over there, they're together. And then those guys, they're opposed. These labels hardly fit anymore. And yet, as this clash between protest groups is about to unfold in the streets on Wednesday, I can clearly see the dividing line, and I can see how people are picking a side now. I'm going to be on the Marxist communist side. I'm going to be on the fascist freedom side. Whatever the hell that even means. Unfortunately, you start applying labels like that, you force people to pick a side, and you start creating the very thing that people despise, that they're afraid of. This whole thing has created, at least on paper or in the public eye, these two very defined groups with labels attached to them now. Who did that? I think the guy who's kind of orchestrating all this and pulling the strings might be sitting in office up on Parliament Hill every day, or most days, if he's not flying around handing out Canadian tax dollars to foreign governments. Somehow I feel like maybe he's sitting back right now laughing, because while the people who are going to come this week were maybe worried about how police might react to their protests and whatever activities they had planned over the next week, now suddenly they have to deal with fellow citizens standing in their way. I don't think they were counting on that. And who facilitated that? Well, these unions are just arm's length organizations of government. They are big government unions. They get, in many cases, through not just the unions, but these other organizations that they have that are loosely connected, they get government money and they get the union dues, and they are protected by even government legislation. And in Canada, these unions, they have power. And then on the other side, I think the government has kind of created that too by funding drag queen story time, just so that they could piss off some people and get them to come out into the streets and protest. There's more than, it's a very sophisticated game they're playing. It's psychological warfare online. It's funding of certain events to get a reaction out of the other side. And the things that you might expect them to do, quite often they might just be doing the exact opposite to get the reaction that they really want, disguising it as something, right? In reality, somebody's getting what they want, because now instead of one group, fighting the government, you've got the citizens fighting each other. Are you waking up yet? But Rick, you're not a true freedom fighter. Am I not? Am I not a true freedom fighter? Have you got to wake up? Are you awake? I said I wasn't going to get into this tonight. I promised myself, and here we are, because it's just unavoidable. You think that what's going on with these references to invading Canada, you don't think it's got nothing to do with it? Really? 3 major influencers all saying basically the same thing. Tucker Carlson even saying he'd like to see a Bay of Pigs style invasion of Canada. I don't care what government we have. I don't care if we've got an NDP government, a Liberal government, a Conservative government, whatever government we have. We do have something resembling a democracy, and I don't really need the United States to come up here and invade us. I'd kind of prefer that they not do that. I don't really want any other country to come here and invade us. First of all, I don't want any bloodshed. And secondly, I don't want any other country imposing its will on us, on our sovereignty. The reality is, when you live next to a superpower, you have to bend and twist and accommodate all the time, because we're living literally right on the doorstep of the United States of America, what's supposed to be the world's most powerful country. In Canada, economically and every other respect, geographically, we're bigger, but in terms of power and influence and monetary might, military, we just don't have what they have in the United States, not even close. So, of course, already being influenced heavily by what goes on in the United States. What you're getting right now is Trudeau and Biden working in concert with each other. But I think you have big companies, especially big energy companies, maybe oil companies, that are not happy with what's going on in Canada. And they'd like to get more of that oil. They'd like to get their hands on it, and they'd like to be able to get it to market and have some of these pipelines that are being blocked maybe approved and actually built. But, and maybe this is just planting seeds, and maybe I'm speculating too much. But anyway you slice it, this is political rhetoric that we've never heard before in history. This is unprecedented, and it is kind of weird. It's also scary, especially when I see what's going on in the streets, when I hear what people are saying, when I see how people are being manipulated psychologically online through various methods and organizational or systems that they've set up that I can clearly identify. Oil, money, politics, social influencers. You're all worried about 5G, right? You should be worried about what's right in front of you right now, the screen that you're looking at as you listen to me. You're worried about, I know a lot of you are worried about, graphene oxide and 5G chemtrail radio wave, blah, 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 controlling your mind. It's the screen in front of you, dude and dudette, that's being used to control all of us already. Mass psychosis, propaganda. Holy crap. 2023. Are we, oh my God, are we screwed? Well, whatever's coming this week is coming. Whatever's coming is coming. Leo said something that I think is fitting. Oh, by the way, it's not my protest. Okay. I'm not organizing it. But this 1 million person march on Wednesday, if you show up, they're asking people to wear white. Just letting you know. You probably heard that already. Let me get this thing here. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's bring this up on the screen. Because, oh boy, are we ever screwed. Here we go. Thank you, Leo, for sending this. Chef boy, are we screwed? Yes, sir. Beans and hot dogs, recession style. What's it say on the top there? It says a diet recipe 2022. This is actually old, I guess. There's Jagmeet Singh and Canada's finance minister and deputy prime minister, Chrystia Freeland, on the left-hand corner. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we are screwed, man. We are so screwed. And you have to remember, too, that Justin Trudeau says that Canada is the world's first post-nation state. He is a globalist. And so these assertions, these ideas, these efforts to get people to, I don't know, get behind this idea that Canada should be invaded. Do you think he cares? Probably not. It's like, yeah, whatever. Although his job might be in jeopardy. I don't know. It's always hard to know exactly where these things come from exactly, but I'll tell you, I've never seen it before. What I have seen before, though, is Chef Boyardee commercials from yesteryear. And I thought, well, since Leo sent the Chef Boy, Are We Screwed? Highlight of the night there. Maybe we'll share this with you. Here's a classic old Chef Boyardee commercial. Just for you young folks out there who maybe don't remember this stuff.
Hey, we're going for pizza. Do you want to come? Got a better idea. I'll make you some. Got this pizza mix by Chef Boyardee. It beats going out. This I gotta see. It's got everything a pizza mix should. It's even got cheese. But does it taste good? It's scrumptious. It's real pizza crust, crisp as can be. Don't all mixes do that? Chef Boyardee. Is the sauce real pizza? The sauce is great. Is the cheese real pizza? Best you ever ate. Is it real fast pizza? Oh, it's ready in minutes. Real pizza pie. With the chef's touch in it. Sure it's going out? Well, I gotta agree. The pizza mix that rates is Chef Boyardee.
Get Chef Boyardee complete pizza mix. Beats frozen pizza, even beats going out. Pizza pie in minutes.
With the chef's touch in it.
Yeehaw. Yummy. Processed pizza food. Super duper instant. Ready in a jiffy. and probably really, really, I don't know. There's, as Tucker Carlson said in an interview a while back, and it stuck with me. He said, "There's clearly something wrong with our food supply." Do you think? Anyway, Chef Boyardee. Well, Chef Boy, are we screwed? Don't go away. I got more.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So everything going on is very confusing. It's very hard to make sense of what's going on with it all politically because it all seems to bleed together. The old labels of left and right and communist, fascist, Nazi, conservative, socialist, whatever, it just doesn't seem to make sense. People are, aligning themselves in strange ways that people aren't really used to, or they can't really make sense of, especially if you don't have enough historical context to sort of make sense of it. Even then, that's not helping right now because a lot of these lines are being blurred. But I can tell you this. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, whenever there's any kind of a conflict or a political struggle, or especially a war, it's always popular in the beginning because governments or political organizations do their very best to manufacture public consent for their I'm going to call it their war effort. Okay, that's what happens in a war. They'll do whatever they have to do to get the people to support it. That's what happened before conflict in Ukraine started. That's what happened, with after 9/11 and Afghanistan and Iraq. They need the public to support it. They need you to support it. So they start with the propaganda, the public information, the PSYOP even, to get people to support whatever it is that they want, or the marketing, however you want to view it or think about it. And I'll tell you this, whatever happens this coming week, I know that in the minds of people, they're going to go, and if it escalates into something more serious, I know in the minds of some people, it's kind of like, we're going to go and we're going to have this fight. This is it. And then I think they think they're going to go home after the big fight and everything will be fixed, or they're going to win the battle and it'll all be over in like a few hours or a day or a weekend. I guarantee you, whatever happens this coming week, whatever it is, there's going to be a whole lot more after. Whatever it is, whatever happens, it won't settle anything this week. These kinds of things are never settled quickly. No matter how much it escalates, no matter what happens, it ain't going to go down as a one-time thing. I will say this too. Whatever happens, I sure hope everybody does go home safe and sound. I hope so. Strange times. Another quick break while I get the next material ready.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
And that war in Ukraine, a lot of people thought that would be over very quickly too. Dragging on. More and more and more and more money. So there's just a case in point. And now tonight, we're seeing a breaking news story in Canada that's having, well, it's international in scope. It is also, in a way, connected to what's going on in Russia and Ukraine because it involves India. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Trudeau saying today that there are credible allegations that the Indian government may be involved or may have been involved in the slaying of a Sikh leader in British Columbia back in June. So, I don't know if I can get that clip for you, but let me see if I can get this this actual clip of him saying it, because this is like beyond serious, really, when you think about it, because this guy was killed on Canadian soil, and now Trudeau's saying, and he would not say this unless, honestly, there was some truth to it. Yes, I think it's here. Okay. I don't know if I've got it here, but anyway, he says, this is obviously a very serious matter, because Trudeau said that, Canada is a country that has rule of law. It's with the protection of our citizens, defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. He says our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. He's calling on the government of India to cooperate in the investigation to help get to the bottom of what happened. And this is extremely concerning because we're seeing this alignment between India, Russia, China, all the BRICS nations, right? And we're seeing unrest here at home politically. Now this will, I have to wonder how this will affect things moving forward between Canada and India, and maybe even the United States and India. This kind of thing, it may fizzle out, but it always has the potential to burst and become something much bigger. So we'll continue to follow the story. Sorry, I can't find a clip of him actually saying these quotations on video, but But that's what he said today about that. You know, the other thing I kind of took note of today was Donald Trump. He's supposed to be in so much trouble. And everybody's worried about Donald Trump. Mainstream media's, got the smelling salts out all the time. But I just took note of this. It's like he dominates the news. Even when I don't think there's much new going on. Here's like here's the CBS News website. Just look at this. The stories are the stories. It's just like there are too many of them for me to even keep track of or even just keep them organized in my mind anymore. I mean, somebody said there earlier, Rick seems confused. No kidding. Information overload or what? So look at this. This is CBS News. Trump investigations. Trump reiterates request that judge recuse herself. DOJ asks judge to limit Trump inflammatory statements in 2020 election case. Judge orders temporary halt of Trump's New York fraud trial. Trump's 4 indictments, a guide to charges, trial dates, key players in each case. Trump's Georgia co-defendants and the high legal bill they may be facing. Is there any other news going on? Okay, so that's CBS. What else do we have here? Here's CNN. Is there Trump stuff? Oh, yeah, there's Trump there. Trump falsely claims Raffensperger said former president didn't do anything wrong on their 2021 phone call. Just Trump to Trump, Trump to Trump, Trump. Oh, there's a Russell Brand story. What else? NBC. Let's see if NBC has Trump stuff. Bet you they do. Let's bring up the NBC website. Okay, so there's that F-35 stealth fighter jet missing story. Looks like they found debris, so I think maybe we have our answer on that. There's the Vivek Ramaswamy story about having regrets for taking the COVID vaccine, but his wife, a surgeon, does not. And then, there's that story that we talked about the other night. 5 Americans released from Iran are en route to Washington, D.C. And we know that the Biden administration approved the release of money. How much money was it? Was it $6 billion? $6 billion. Yeah, it's supposed to be Iranian money, but controversial. Some people saying it's like paying a ransom because they had that money locked up, frozen. Now releasing it in order to get those people back. Where's Trump? Far-right Republicans drafted a short-term funding bill. GOP centrists, it's now at risk of collapse. Here are the top moments from Trump's Meet the Press interview. Not quite as much Trump stuff on NBC on their main page. Oh, and there's the story we just told you about. Canada is investigating whether India is linked to the slaying of a Sikh activist. Let's bring it up. I think we've got maybe video of Prime Minister's clip here. Yes, we do. We'll bring it up this way. So this is NBC. And we'll play the clip of Trudeau here. Well, thank you, NBC. We'll just...
Expelling a top Indian diplomat as it looks into what Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calls credible allegations that India's government had something to do with the killing of a Sikh activist.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
So this activist fought for an independent Sikh homeland in India. He was gunned down in his truck in June outside a temple in British Columbia. I want to bring in Megan Fitzgerald, who's been following this for us. What do we know, Megan, about these allegations and where they came from?
Well, Yasmin, first, good to be with you. And look, this is something that is just developing right now. The news just broke hours ago from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who basically said, look, this is an investigation that's been going on for several weeks, that Canada has been working closely with its allies around this, the allegations that Indian government agents were behind the killing of this Sikh leader outside of the temple, which is just outside of Vancouver in British Columbia. And to give you some background here, the Sikh supporter was a strong supporter of this idea of having a Sikh homeland. This is something that India has banned. These types of groups are banned in India, something that the Indian government calls a threat to their national security. Now, Justin Trudeau, in speaking directly to the Canadian people today, said that he had a direct conversation with the Prime Minister of India, Modi, at the G20 last week. And I want you to listen to a little bit of what he had to say.
Mm-hmm. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty.
He also continued, and I want to read for you. He said, in the strongest possible terms, I continue to urge the government of India to cooperate with Canada to get to the bottom of this matter. So there's a lot of questions here, a lot that we don't know. But of course, this is a developing story and one that we will certainly be on top of and watching closely.
So, how do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about the violation of our sovereignty, potentially, by the Indian government? Is that right? Should we care? I don't know. Hello, anybody in the chat? Anybody want to comment on that? Let me go over here. Let's see. He's so mad at India. Haven't hair always one stand, hair hanging down. This is in Rumble. I'm looking in the Rumble chat. Somebody says, I feel nothing. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I think that any country that does something like that is laughing at Trudeau and laughing at our country and laughing at our sovereignty, laughing at us. They don't take us seriously. They think that we're a joke. They know that Trudeau will do nothing. They know that we don't have the means to really push back that hard at all. We don't have the military to do anything about it. We don't have the money or the financial might at this point to exert or apply our political will. We can't even really, we can apply sanctions to India, but do you think it really matters? We're not big enough, I don't think. Maybe on some products, like some food products, maybe agriculture stuff. I don't know. Maybe restrict import, whatever. I don't know what Trudeau will do. It just shows that they don't see us as a threat at all. They think that they can just walk all over us. Seems that that's the case with Lieutenant Steve Rogers and Jackson Hinkle too. I think we'll just take over that country. Yeah, we just take it over because, it might be a threat at some point down the road. So, yeah, let's just take it over. Just in case. Just in case. This coming from Jackson Hinkle, a guy who's a communist, a self-proclaimed communist, who calls for the nationalization of what? Resource industries. That's what he said, which is what most communist countries do. The first thing they do is they nationalize the oil industry. Oh, we're back to oil again. What does Canada have? Oil. I think we're a long way away from the Americans invading. Don't get me wrong. But I think that there's a larger message or another another element to this, a goal is attached to this, maybe that we're not seeing unless you're kind of looking at it from that aerial view. And remember, I said that some people think that the white hats or the American Marines or some paramilitary force or whatever it is, maybe even directed by Donald Trump, are coming to rescue us. Well, I think maybe some of this messaging from these online streamers who, especially in the case of Lieutenant Steve Rogers, uses that phrase, "we the people," that is a true phrase for some people. And I think maybe he's speaking, I mean, maybe they're all speaking in a way that will connect with a certain group. Just a speculation on my part. I have no reason to believe that I'm wrong. Not at this point. I don't know if you're following what I'm saying, folks. But anyway, one thing that I'm taking away from this is that Trudeau is a laughingstock around the world. Our government they're laughing at us. They don't respect our government. They don't respect Trudeau. And as a result, they don't respect us. They'll even send, if this is true, they'll even send agents from their country to Canada to kill a political opponent on Canadian soil with no fear. It's disgusting. And I know that that particular issue is extremely volatile. I know that they, a number of months ago, Raj Sehgal, who has been a contributor on this show, was down at an event where they were having sort of a vote on that very issue, the issue that apparently seems to have led to the murder of that person out in British Columbia. When people come here from other countries, they end up often with dual citizenship. And even if they don't, they bring their politics and their culture with them. That's why we're seeing the people from Eritrea out in the streets and in parks beating each other with sticks, because we've brought people from both sides of that political conflict to Canada. And because we've done that, they're still fighting here on Canadian soil. And they're Canadian citizens now, but they still are upset about what's going on back in Eritrea. So they're still fighting about it here. And this. But hey, don't forget, diversity is our strength. I got nothing against any group of people, but as far as I'm concerned, if you come here, you got to be peaceful, man. I don't want that violence in the parks. I don't want people beating each other with sticks and, two mobs, a big mob beating each other with sticks while we've got moms over on the swing set trying to enjoy their afternoon with their kids. Unacceptable. But anyway, that's just me. What else can I say? All right, it is 8:05 p.m. And I've kind of wrapped up with all of that stuff. So, dare I do it? I'm afraid to go to the phones tonight, honestly. Yeah, you know what? I think for tonight, I dare not. No, Magic Moon, I do not use drugs. Sorry to disappoint you. Not my thing. I don't drink and I don't do drugs of any kind except Tylenol. I want my mind clear. Always. I don't want distortions of any kind. I treasure more than ever reality and clarity. I was out in public today. I had a job. Yeah, I actually have to make money to live. Oh, and I was out today, and it felt almost normal. I was talking to pretty normal people, doing pretty normal things. There were a few things that, were COVID related that left me feeling like I was still living in this strange dystopian nightmare, because we are. But it did feel today finally like it was semi-normal. Semi-normal. I was grateful for that. It's nice to talk to people who don't talk about politics and all these issues for a while. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of people out there who just don't pay much mind. It's probably a wise thing, a good thing, which is not what I do. It's just constant for me, which is why I can't tell what day of the week it is. Can't sleep at night, can't keep my days straight. Last week, I lost a whole day. That's why I'm screwed up here. It was Saturday. I thought it was Friday. It's true. Because I'm just working constantly and just bombarded with this information. I think you guys probably are too. Like, do you find that it weighs on your mind? Let's talk about that. Maybe, or not. Let's go to the phones. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to do it because I'm afraid it's going to bend my mind. Let me get this thing all cranked up here. All right, we'll set it up. And we'll see how normal this goes tonight. Okay. Are we going to be normal or crazy, abnormal tonight? I don't know. We're going to talk about the Masons. We're going to talk about Knights of Malta. We're going to talk about, oh, look at that. The calls are racking up. What are we going to talk about? Oh, I think I know what we're going to talk about. Let me get this cranked up here. What do you guys want to talk about? Hang on. Almost there. I have to punch some buttons and numbers to get this system set up. See, it's a little more involved than people realize. There. Oh, good. Okay. All right. It's configured. It just needs a moment to stabilize, and I need the screen to do a thingy that I won't explain, but it's almost ready to go. So don't go away. I'm going to come right back. We're going to start taking phone calls, and then you can warp my mind. I'll be right back.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, there you go. The screen is all set up and we are ready to rock and roll. Let's go to our first caller of the night, the man himself. And go ahead, sir. You are on the air.
Fire in the hole, Rick. Fire in the hole.
Care to elaborate?
You didn't touch much. Yeah, I was about a half hour late into the show. I was doing some shit for my daughter's business today, well, all weekend actually. But the strike.
Oh, the UAW strike. Oh my
strike.
God. Yeah, please talk
I
about
think
it.
you missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get a little bit off topic here. But it is the perfect storm for a nation-wide strike because by the looks of it, Ford's in Oakville, 1,800 people are not working tonight, and Chrysler seems to, in the next 48 hours, is going out too. Or it might have been GM, sorry, not Ford, but Chrysler's and GM. Now, the whole problem with that, okay, it's a few thousand workers. It's a spin-off, the truck drivers, the restaurant owners, everybody, okay? It's going to affect a lot of people, not just auto.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm off for a week. So, I'm pretty busy at work, too, right? So, we're 2 years ahead of the program.
So they're saying that they could strike tonight at midnight if they don't get a deal. And that's in Canada, by the way. So you could see a total strike.
Well, the funny thing is, a total strike, okay, is going to be devastating. Never, I don't think ever in the history of me. I come from a union town.
Yep.
Okay, I've never seen all three go off at the same time.
Right, me either.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, you're gonna see. I'm gonna do a video of the Ambassador Bridge when it happens, and I'm gonna show you how dead it is. Usually, it's lined up with trucks. There's not gonna be anything going on, right? So, it's going to affect a lot of people, especially in these struggling times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where people don't have enough money to they're living week to week. Some people.
Yeah. And, yeah. What are they looking for here? They want improvements to pensions, wage increases.
They want 40% wage increase. They came back today, UAW, and said, "We'll give you 20."
Holy! They even
over 40.
I can't believe that they agreed to that. 20%. How do they even justify that?
Well, they justify it with our.
Sorry, did we lose you there, Leo? Something weird happened to his phone there. Did you hear that? That's weird. 20%, 40%. That's crazy. Are they I don't know if we're going to get you back here or not. Your audio is all messed up. Something's happened. Are you there? Leo? I don't know. I don't know what's happened to him. I have audio, but weird stuff going on with the phones lately.
Hello.
There he is. Okay, we got you back. Can you hear us? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Well, I mean, they've got to be looking at the inflation rate, the cost of living, and putting pressure on the automakers on that front, because I don't think they've in my lifetime, I don't think they've ever had a wage increase anywhere near like that.
No, Rick. Okay.
Yeah, you're still cutting out there, Leo. We're losing you. Can't hear you. I see you're still connected, but we can't hear you. There's something wrong. Nope. No, still can't hear him. We lost him. He's off the screen now. Hopefully he calls back, because that is a big story. And so I'm so glad that he called in to get us dialed in on that one, because that will have a major impact on the economy, especially in particular communities, but even countrywide. The auto industry for Canada, that is huge. Huge. Like Donald Trump, huge. Oh, yeah. Who we have in the line here? Maybe Leo will come back in the meantime. Go ahead. You're on the air. Who do we have? Hello. Oh, hang on. You know what? You know what it is? Yeah, we lost our connection. We're going to have to reconfigure. Hang on a second here. All right. give me a break here for a moment. I'm going to fix this. I figured out what went wrong. We lost our system connection to the phone system. The streaming software disconnected from the phone system. So bear with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm flashing on and off on the screen, and even though it says we are connected, we are not connected. So I'm going to have to, folks, I'm going to have to ask you guys to call back. I'm going to have to just reconfigure this whole darn thing because we are not getting connected to the phone system. So I do apologize for that. Let me just terminate this whole thing. I'll run another promo while I get this stuff set up. Hang on, almost with you.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
System's back up. I just have to get it configured, and here's the number to call.
Join the conversation. Call 1-823-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a maverick. Join us.
I'm really sorry, folks. The system is not working properly, and I do not know why. I'm still trying. Let me try it again. It just will not connect. I'm working on this. So yeah, that UAW strike in the States, now strike in Canada on the autos industry side, maybe at midnight tonight. Okay. Let me try this number here. Okay. Yeah, and we have a lot of stuff we could talk about tonight. Let's see if this works. Here we go. I'm using another path. Almost got it. Almost got it. Okay. Got it. Beautiful. It'll need just a moment to fix itself on the screen so that I have it looking right and functioning properly. And then we'll go to these calls. And the calls are stacking up. So I'm glad I was able to get it configured. I'm going to need just a moment. So let me just run this while I wait for the screen to configure properly. All I can do is wait. I'll be right back. Don't worry. We're almost there. I promise.
We are Mavericks. We say no to Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. 'Cause bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! Too much!
Nope. Nope. Didn't work. It did work. It was connected. It was ready to go. And now it's disconnected again. So, folks, I am so sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to sit here and try and fix a computer problem or a software problem on the air. It makes no sense to do that. I wouldn't put you through it. That gets us to, we've been wrestling with this for far too long. Thank you to Leo for calling in. We're going to have to wrap it up for tonight because of what's going on with these technical problems. I'll try to sort it out and be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow is Tuesday. The event is Wednesday, not tomorrow. And I apologize for all my references to tomorrow, but it's Wednesday. So you got another day. And whatever you decide to do, please, folks, do what's best for you and your family. You make your own decisions. You're free, you're free people. So you do what you want to do, as you always will. But I just hope you all stay safe, make wise decisions, and hope that when we come out of this on the other side, we're in a better place. I don't know. But we have time. More time tomorrow. I think we're going to have a special guest on maybe tomorrow too. Won't tell you who. I always like to confirm first, but if he's not on tomorrow, he'll be on very soon in the nights ahead. I'm hoping for tomorrow. Whatever we have tomorrow, it's going to be interesting and engaging.